So you're welcome back to this episode of this video. So in our last video we learned how to style our React component using CSS, either the inline CSS, the external CSS, or using the CSS module. We noticed that we can use the CSS module to avoid CSS conflict, but we can also do that using external CSS when we use the descendant selector. So now I'm going to show you how to style a component using SCSS. So SCSS is a later version of SASS. So SASS stands for Systematic Awesome Style Sheet. So there are some level of advantage that SASS gives to us when we are writing CSS. For example, we can nest our CSS, we can use variables, we can use functions. So it's a very advanced library for CSS. So actually SASS is a preprocessor for CSS. So when you write your SASS or your SCSS, your browser does not understand it, so it has to be compiled to your normal CSS before your browser can understand that. But thankfully, since we are learning SASS from our React takes that under the hood for us. So all we just need to do is to link our SCSS, but just know that your browser does not understand that. So in this video we are going to learn how to style a component using SASS, which is Systematic Awesome Language. And remember, SASS is a preprocessor for CSS, so there are some heavy lifting that SASS will do for you, but that will be rewritten to the way that your CSS will understand that. So in this video we are going to learn how to style our React component using SASS. So we'll first of all see how we can use variables, how we can use partials, extends, and includes. So just a reminder, when we are using SASS to style our React component, is still an external CSS. So to avoid naming conflict when using SASS or CSS, avoid global CSS and make sure each component starts with an ID, just as I showed you earlier. So let's begin to learn how we can do that. So let me go back to our VS Code, then we'll move to our terminal. So remember, this is a terminal where we started our React, and if I go to my browser I will see this. So what we want to do here now is to open another terminal, so horizontally. Then I'm going to install SASS. So it's a package. So remember, I told you it's a preprocessor for what? CSS. So there's a package that does that heavy lifting for you. So we have npm install SASS. So that should install in a moment. Okay, so that has been installed, so we can start using the package now. So how do we use this? So actually we need not do anything. So remember, all this while we have been creating our file, our SCSS, our CSS, and that is the CSS and the components inside the components folder. But there's another method which is somewhat neater, and that's one I will use for my SASS. So I recommend this new method because it keeps your page organized, so that if you see a component, you see whatever is unique to it there. So I'm going to create a new folder now. I'm going to call this let's call this a blog. So this is a folder called blog. So inside is my blog. I'm going to create a component called blog.jsx as usual. Then remember to bring out my component boilerplate. I'll type ROAFCE. Then I'll save. Then inside this blog folder, I'm also going to create blog.scss. Remember, SCSS is a later version of SASS. So this means that whatever CSS you know, if you write it in your SCSS file, it will still run as normal. But when you write the SCSS, when you write the SASS syntax, it will still understand that, and it will be compiled to normal CSS. So it's friendly for beginners. So I'll hit enter. So just as we have been doing all this, so let me close this since we're not using them again. This car, we're not using them again. But to close that, app.css, close that. How does this close that? So I think I've closed the one I'm not supposed to close, which is blocks. So now what I will now do now is to import my SCSS. So I'll say import blog, no, not like that. So your quote dot and forward slash blog.scss. So you see it there. So that is that. Then of course, just to avoid naming conflict, so I'll put this ID, and it's very unlikely that you have two components that bear the same name. So that means they will have unique IDs. So h2 blog. So of course, for this to show, we have to call it in the app.js, which is our window to the world. So I'll come down here and I'm going to call this blog. Remember, so I'm going to automatically import this. So click this. So that has been imported. Space. And I close that. So if I save this and go to my browser, I'm going to see blog. Nice. So then, what is the next thing for us to do? Let's now begin to style. So if I want to style in my SCSS, all I need to do is I'll put my ID blog. Now this is the only targeting I will do. So let's say in our h2 we have h2, so I can say h2 and say I'm nesting this. So remember, if it was normal CSS, I would have done .blog then h2, and if I style this, it will still work. So let me say text align should be center. So if I save that and come to my browser, I'll see that text align is center. But I don't have to be doing all this. You have to, it's too much. So I'll just comment it for feature purpose. So I can still do the same thing here. Tab text align center, then margin top 1 rpm, font size 3, view width. So if I save that, notice what will happen. You see, it still works. So that is one of the things that you're learning in your with SASS. You can nest your CSS and it will still work. So there's nothing like so the descendant selector you do is not in line, but it's not in block inside. So that is how it works. So let's say I have a p tag here. So I say p, say lorem what said. So let's say I want to style the p. So this is how I will style it. So if I go back, I'll see something like this. So let's say I want to style this now. So what I'm going to do this. I'll come back to my p. Now this is the same thing as saying go to inside my block component, style the what, the p. So I will just say width should be 60%. Of course, margin should be auto. Then font size should be 2 view width. Then padding should be 1 RPM. Then that is it. So that you can add as many styling as you want, but this is going to show like this. So you see, nice. So you see, whatever I'm styling now is working with my SCSS, and that is nice. So let's say I want to give this a color. So color, this should be blue. Then color, this should be dark khaki. I've never heard of that before. So if I go to my browser, I'm going to see this, though it's not quite nice. So let's choose a brighter color. Let's say crimson. Okay, so we have this. Nice. So now let's learn another topic, which is variables. Now with our SASS, we can split our codes to the point that if we want to change all the H1 heading tags, I can easily change them from another file instead of this. So that leads us to what we call partials. So how do we create a partial? So what I usually like to do is inside my component, I'll create a folder called SCSS. So here I'll have my partials, some of the partials that I like to use. So the first one is variable. Now a partial is like a subset of a code that is not being compiled when you save. So if you want something to be a partial in your SASS, you start with your underscore variables.scss. So when the SASS compiler says it will skip that. So as long as you have installed SASS on your React project, wherever you place your SASS file, SASS will compile it, or your SCSS will compile that. So this is just a subset of a full page, so this will be imported into another code, so there's no need compiling it, as you will see now. So let's say I want to have my primary colors. So to declare a variable in SASS, you have your start with your $, variable name, then value. So let me create one called primary color. So that will be what? So let's say this is red. Then another variable, say secondary color should be gray. I'm just using random colors. Then let's say heading 2 should be blue, then paragraph should be what? Should be, let's use different color, brown. So these are my variables. So you can also have more of them. So you can also have padding, you can also have a border radius, should be 8 pixel. Okay, so you can have as many variables as you want. So this is it. So how do I use this in my blog.this or in any other file? So I have to import that above. So I put at import space in quote. So I will now load the file. So dot and forward slash dot and forward slash. So I'll look at my SCSS, then my variables. Now you have to end this with a semicolon unless SAS will frown at you. So now how do I use this now? So let's say I want to use this. So remember, when we are creating our variables, we started with what? A $sign. So when you want to use that variable, as long as you've imported it, you start with also a $sign. So I'm going to put here a $sign. Then I will now put my heading 2. So it already knows that I have that, so I can put that. Then I can put here my $sign, then paragraph, nice in it. Then I can put here, let's say I want to give this a background color, so I can choose the secondary color also. So just like that, I can be using them. So let's see how that works. So you notice there is no change. So let me add a background color now. So let me add a background color. Yeah, background color should be a variable secondary, the secondary color. So if I do that, I will see this. So you notice how it looks like now. Very nice. So this is how we use variables. So we've learned two things now: variables, then how to do nesting. And let's now continue with the partials. So according to the slide here, we need to learn about variables, then the partials. So we can do a variable even without using a partial. So I can do my variable here. So like for example, I can do a variable here called width, and I will save that as 80%. So what I can do here now is I can come down here and I'll put width, then I'll put my width. So if I put that, it will be what? 80%, then margin auto. So if I do that, I'll notice I will have something like this. Now this leads us to the next partial I want to learn, which is what? Which is our extend. Now this width that I put here as this and this extend can be part of something that I can export. So you notice all this one, a variable uses to store just one value, like you're storing just what? 80%, but you're using a variable name as what? As width. If you come here, I'm storing red in a variable called primary color. I'm storing. So what if I want to store something like this now and use the name? Maybe I want to store width of 80%, then the margin of what, auto, and maybe store some other stuff. So that is where I'll use my what, extend. So let's do that. So I just call them that name because that is how I'll remember how to apply them. So underscore extend dot SCSS. So how do I do that? So I'll this extend is like it is like a CSS module. You can use dot width, let's use width 80. So if I have width 80, I can have the width is what, is 80%, then the margin is what, is for the top and bottom. It should be maybe auto, then the margin up, margin. So I can add as many CSS rules that I want here, and should be one ROEM. Then I can add my border radius if I want to do that. Then I can add 10 pixels. So all these CSS rules now. So I can come here and add another one. So I can add with 90, just like that. I can add with 70, with 70. So I can go on and on. So let's learn how to use this now. So if I want to use this now, I have to import that variable, that I have to import that partial again. So I'm going to call this as extend. So if instead of me to use this now, I'll comment it out, then I'll now come here and put at. So you see why I call the name of that partial extend. So at extend, so I'll just put the name, which is what, width 80. So with 80, I hope I'm getting it correctly. So with 80, okay, I will not, because I don't use it, so I have to start with dot with 80. So because I use dot, I have to use dot here, if not it will not work. So let's see that. So if I go back, I will see this. So you see that CSS has been applied. So let me also apply a margin bottom to that, so that you can see that. So here, here, here. So margin bottom should be 1 ROEM2. So if I do that now, I go to my browser, I will see this margin. So let me change this now to, let me come back now and change this to width 90. Notice it's going to increase. So you see, then let me change this to width 70. Notice it's going to decrease. So I think these are huge width. So let me do the last one just to make sure it's actually decreasing. So with 70, let me do with 40. Okay, no wonder it was not reducing because I only changed the variable name here, but not this. So with 90, so I knew there was an issue. So but now I found it, so I needed to change that. So if I check now, the with 70, I think is this one. So let's see the one we are using. So we have our with 70 here. So let me do with 90. So that should be big. And you see now it's bigger. Yes, so it's actually working. So that is how we use our extend. So an extend, just the way I call it is. So I gave it the name because of the way you actually use it. So the extend, you can use it to wrap more than one CSS rule, so that it will make your code neater. Like if you notice here now, just one line of code, but the actual code that is actually copying and pasting is what is about 5 lines of code. So you see it says, so you can write as many CSS rules and you can use them. So it is this type of, it is SASS that they usually use to create all this CSS library or framework, like Bootstrap and Tailwind, because you can have as many CSS, you can have as many extends as possible, and that will work. Okay, so that is how work with that one. Then the next I want to teach you with regards to the partials is your includes. So underscore includes dot SCSS. Now this include, now let's say normally I want to flex, so I will say, so to write and include, you use at mixing, then flex between, then I'll put my display. So this include is like an extend, but only that it can accept a parameter. It can be dynamic, so it's just like a function. So display flex, but you can still use it as an extend if you want. But if you want it to be dynamic, you can do that. So let's say I want it to be display flex. So I think I will just do that. So I'll just put flex. So let's not make it that. So let's just put flex first of all. Then we'll put align, item should be center, justify content should be space between. So if I want any of this to be dynamic, I have to pass a variable, but I'll use an image to show you that. Okay, so that is for this flex between. Then let's do another one, flex center. So you can do that for grid, but I'm just using center. So here will be what? Center. Center. So if I want to flex something now, I cannot use that here. So I'll go to this my SASS, import this. This will be what? Includes. So let's create. So let's create a template. So let's say I have inside here, I have some boxes. So dot boxes. So let's say I have dot box. A, then inside it I want a text of box A, then times 4, so that will duplicate up to 4 times. So what I'll need to do is to change this to box B, box C, and box D. So if I have this now, I'll have this on my, so I have these boxes, right? So I'll use flex now to change them from a block to what, inline, just the way we normally do with our CSS. But to do that, I'll go to my SCSS, then click here, then I'll put my dot boxes, then I'll just put at include flex between. Now because a mixin is like a function, so you have to invoke it. So if I do that, notice I will have my what, flex between. So you see, nice. So if I want it to be flex center, I'll just make that flex what, center, and the flex will be what, it will be centered. So you see, nice. So that is how we use our mixin. So let's use center, let's use between rather. Okay, so of course if you give this a mean height of 20 view height, then that will mean there will be some space. So you see there's not some space. Then let's say a little bit of padding. So padding 10 pixel. So you have those boxes displaying like that. So you have this now. Okay, so let's move over to the last one, which is images. So let's write a mixin for our images. So in the includes, I want to create one for images. So remember, if I want to add image, we have to type the following. So at mixin, then image, then URL. So remember, if I want to create a variable in SASS, it has to start with a $, URL. So that is the name of the variable. Then I'm going to add background image should be URL. Then inside it I have to put this my $URL. So whatever URL I pass will be that. Then background position should be center. Background size by default should be contain. Then background repeat should be what? No repeat. So this is the basic things I need to type, all these things, if I want to add a background image. So let me create a markup to add this background image. So I'll just come here, just put .bg, so that's the name of the class, bg. So remember, to add a background image you need to give it a width and a height. So that is what I'm going to do. So I'll come back here, .bg, then I'll say I'll just give it a width. So I can just use my art extend dot width what, dot width 70. So let's see, I think that will not give us what we want. Let's see, does it have a width? Extend. So it has a width but it doesn't have a height. Okay, so we can just add height there. So we can just add height there, so we can just put a height so that it will be more dynamic, so I can put mean height should be 10 view height. But let's see. But if you add a height, you can still extend it if you want. So we've added a mean height, so that means we can add our background image now. So add include image. Then now I need the URL. So this is where it becomes a challenge, because you no longer have the help of your IntelliSense. So if I do dot and forward slash, okay, I still have the help of my IntelliSense. Nice. Dot and forward slash. So I need to go outside again, dot and forward slash. So I have my assets slash, I have my React. So just this line of code, what has happened, it will just copy the whole of this background, repeat background, this background, that. So you see, when you're using SASS, it makes your CSS look what? If you use SASS where you just see some include extend, before you know, your code will be so easier for you to read and understand and even debug than writing so many lines of CSS that can be very, very hard to debug. So one of the objective of SASS is don't repeat yourself. So anything that you know that you'll be reusing, add it as a missing or as an extend and use them very, very nicely. So if I do this now, I will have this. So you see, this is the background image and it's not repeating. Nice. So one other important area where we are going to use, where I love to use SASS, is in responsiveness. So I'm going to create a different, so it's still part of our includes. So let's create the one for media. So I'm going to put at mixing. So before we do this, let us open our project, because we want to do a little bit of demonstration how I love to use SASS. So let's use Thomas. So let's this guy open, so that we'll use our Figma file. I'll show how I use SASS to design exactly what is in our Figma file. So all this thing that you have been learning since is just the basics of what SASS. So now let's now begin to use it to do a nice project, and we're going to appreciate that. Okay, so let's continue. Before we come back, this should have finished loading. Yes. So at mixing, then I'll put here mobile. So I'll not accept anything. So what I want to do here is I'll put my at media and screen, then and I'll put my bracket mean width. We should start from 280 pixel. Then I'll now put at content. Now what does this mean now? Well, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I will type here to make the page responsive, but whatever I type here, so if I want to use this thing now, what I'll just do now is I'll just use my at include, then I'll just put my mobile, then I'll just type. So whatever I type here, maybe width should be like this, is represented by this content. So that's what it means. So what I'll just do is to duplicate this into 3, shift arrow down. So if responsiveness used to give you issue, I think you find using SASS very, very, very easier. So this should be let's use 580. Then let's use 980 from here. So I'm just choosing some random. Then this is our desktop. So before we use the Figma file, let's practice with this. Okay, so let's do that for the background color as usual. Remember, when you are learning something, just understand the principle, then you can understand how you can apply that. So in this our BG now, so let's say for this our background color now, I want it at the desktop. It should be showing now, because we are using min width. Remember, if you are using min width, you start from the mobile and scale down to what? The desktop. So it's mobile first approach. So at includes. So let's say I want to make this background color responsive. So what will I do now? So I'll just put mobile. Then I'll just color this. So in my mobile, so let's say I want arrow down. So in my mobile, I want it to be gray. But what about in my, so let me do it for two states. Let's say what about in my desktop? So in my desktop, I want it to be blue. So or let me use primary color. So let's see what happens now. So if I go back to my desktop here, I'll see this is what? Red. So which is not good. So let me use something. So let me use something nice. Let me use light pink. So this looks nice, but if I go to my inspect mode now, you notice it has changed. So let me go to the responsive tab. So you notice I have this now. So notice from 980 it becomes what? It becomes the desktop. This becomes the mobile. You see the desktop, the mobile, desktop. Now let's assume that in my mobile view, let's assume I want this to be inline. So let's do it for the three, so that you see how this works. So I want you to actually get the beauty of this. So for each component, so let's say this is our tablet, and I want it to be light green. So let's see what happens now. So you see this is my tablet, then this is my desktop. I mean, this is my mobile. So remember, my desktop is from 680, then from 980 you have this. Now let's assume that in my desktop I want this thing now. In my mobile I want it to be in block instead of in line. So what will I do? So what I will just do here now is to come back here. So this is what is responsible for it. So I can do my at media here. So at include. So the mobile, I want the flex direction to be what? To be in column. But from my tablet upward, I want it to be what? Now remember, if you're using min width, only way it means the next breakpoint will it change. So if there's no breakpoint from that one, that from the breakpoint you started, that is how it will scale upward. So tablet. So I don't need to put desktop, so I just put what? Row. So now you notice what happened now. So with these 2 lines of code now, I've done the responsiveness for this section if it's what I need to do. So just notice now what happens now. So you see, so in my mobile view it's showing as what? Block. Then from my tablet, you see it changes. That is the responsive view. So you see, I love using SASS when I'm working with a Figma design because it helps me with my responsiveness. So you can still play around it. So if I want to make the text responsive, I'll go to this text and do that. But let's now channel our attention in doing something that is real, which is this one. So now that we've learned the basic, now one other thing I want to show you with regard to SASS before we actually dive into that Figma file is, let's assume I want to do something like this. If I hover through any of this text here, it should change from black to what? Maybe to like red, or it should have an underline. So how do I do the hover? So remember, inside these boxes we have divs. So if you go to, yeah, we just have divs. So to do that, I'll come inside my boxes here, just put div hover. Now this is not correct, but I just want to show so you not forget. So I just put hover, color should be red, let's use blue. Text decoration underline. So notice my intention now is if I hover over this, of course this will not work like this. So let's come back to this normal version, because that one is click now. So if I hover this, so it seems to be working. Okay. But if I don't want to use this, I can also use this div. So if I don't want to use that div, I can use this and yeah, is also the same thing as using that div. So okay. Okay, I'm doing the wrong example in the wrong context. So div has worked here. So let's use the right example. So this one is working. Okay, so let's do that for here. Let's do that for a single content. So let's go back to our blog. So this works, but the one I wanted to show you was for a single content. So let me have a button. So button read more. So I have my read more now. So this is the button. So what if I hover over this button, I want the background to change to what? Red, and the text should change to what? White or green, something like that. So how do I do that? Although we have seen a first method, so I'll show you how to do that. So still the same thing. I'll come down here because the button is just inside there. I'll just put button, because the button is still in my ID. So button. So I'll put if I put over here like this, and say background color should be color should be what? White. And let's see what happens if this will work. See it doesn't work. But what will happen if I use the method we used earlier, button? So let's see if it will work. So you see it doesn't work. Why did it not work? Because there is no button inside this button. So one way to make this work, just to test out that you're referring to this button, you put that and sign. So that was why I said earlier that I used this one in the wrong context. So if I do that, you see that it now works. I see. So that is how you do anything pseudo class or pseudo element. You target the tag, then use your and sign, then that is to apply the pseudo class. So now that I've shown you that, I think I've taught you all the basic with respect to SASS. So let's use it to do a simple project, this Figma file. So let's see how we can do that. So we have this Figma design. So how do we do this now? So the first thing we want to do is we want to get the width of this. So the width of this container is quite big. Let me see this one. It's quite big. So this is okay. So the width is not an issue, so I just choose 100% because it's a parent width. So let's create a component for this. So if I'm creating this in React, I'm going to create the whole of this. So this nav section will be a component, this zero section will be a component, then this other one here might be a component. So just split it into components. So I have this component, I have this component, then I have this background component. So I'll just arrange them one after the other. Then this will be a component. So I'll call this berries. I'll call this berries. So IT berries. So let's go back to our React. So inside my components, I'll just put IT berries.js. Okay. So this is the name of the folder. Then the component now is IT berries. Second is capital letter berries. .jsx. Then RAFCE. So I'll save. Then of course I have to create the SCSS. So itberries.scss. Then I'll hit enter. Then of course I have to link the SCSS file here. So import ./itberries. So just choose that. And of course you add that here so that you can use your SASS. So you have your ID, have your IT berries. Okay, so I have that. So let's save. So the next thing is to come to our app.js and call the IT what berries. So IT berries, so it knows what it is. So click that or hit enter. So it has automatically imported that. So if I save that, go to my browser, I'll notice the what? I'll notice the IT berries. Nice. So that means I can squeeze this guy away. and have some room. Okay, so the next thing we want to do now is we want to get our component, that is background color. So let's see if we can get everything. So we have that. So I'm going to save it as an SVG so that it will save me some time. So I'll copy as SVG. So I'll go to my browser, my assets. I'll create a new file called berries.svg. I'll save the SVG. Nice. Okay, so we have that now. So what I can do is to go to my IT berries. First of all, I need to copy this class name so that we don't have spelling issues. Ctrl C, copy that ID, come back here, my hash, paste that, hit enter. Now I may need some imports in case I need them. Okay, so now we have a height, so let's get that height. So the height is 313 pixel, so let's go there. So I have height, let's just use mean height, so for future purpose. So mean height, I will have 313 pixel. Then the width, just use 100% because it's a parent container. So if we save this, then let's choose the background color. The background color is here, so just copy this gradient like so and save. So Ctrl Z. So let's see how that looks like on our browser. So we have this. Nice. So the next thing that we want to do now is to do the markup. So the markup, according to the markup, we have a text here. So now remember the rules of creating a markup out of a UI. So these things look arranged. So this can be a section 1, this can be a section 2. So box 1, box 2. But because I plan to add this image as a background image, so I can just do everything, then I can use my background image to shift this. So I will use the second approach. I will not have box 1 and box 2, just one. So the first one is IT berries. So I'll copy that. So I can use the H2 there. So go to my code, not you. So I'll go back to my IT berries. So I have my H2, put that. Then I have my P tag, so P. So let's go back to the portfolio, we grab that, copy the content, come here, place that, what Z. And lastly, you have a button, so read more. So button. So that is the basic markup. So if I go back to my screen, I will have this. Okay, so let's now styling them the way it should. Now if you notice in my browser here, so let's go back to our Figma. Let's look at, so I tap this, I hold my Alt key, So notice I have a padding top of 54 and a padding left of 102. So let's add that. So I have a padding top of 54 pixel, then the padding left of 102 pixel is nice. Then what about the padding bottom? So click here. So we are going to leave the right because it's an image that is here. So the padding bottom is 50 pixel. So the padding bottom is 50 pixel. So if we do that, let's see if the changes have been effected. Yes, so we have this now. So we'll target our H1, of course. So you notice we have the following. So it has a width and this, so we can just copy that. So I'll come here, target the H1, I mean the H2, so H2 now, paste, then I remove all these things that I don't need, top left. Next is the typography, so I just copy this and paste. So I have to format this. It's in prettier. Okay, so that has been formatted. So you notice this our mouse error to not work. So let me show you how to add that. So to add that, I'll go to my form and I'll put Montserrat Google font. So just the way we added that. So I'll go to my Montserrat Google font. So I'm going to so I've already added this, but I can't remember the link. View selected families. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is get code. So I'll just copy this link here. So now as I copy this link, I'll go to my index.html. Then here I paste my external, my custom fonts. So now I can come back here, my IT berries, make sure this is in quotes, then a comma, the website font, so sans serif. Good, so that will work now. Okay, so if we do that and save, you're going to see that our new font has been added. So the next thing now is to copy the color. The color is white, so just go back there and put the color of white. So color, put white. Okay, so if we do that, notice we have this. Nice. So the next thing that we want to do now is this. We want to get the styling for the paragraph. So the paragraph is using Open Sans, so we can just copy this. Let's see if there's a width. So there's actually a width, so we can just copy this. Then go to the paragraph. So P. So when a Figma CSS does not work for you, that is when you use your own, but just try to use exactly what you see there. so I can move that, move this. Then what else do we want to add? We want to add the topography, which is that. So text align, let's use justified. I think it's justified, not justified. So that was a wrong syntax. So that was why it was grayed out. Then the color should be white. The color should be white. So this open sans, I think it should be in double quotes. Okay, so let's see how that looks like. So I'm going to go to my browser. Let's see how it looks like. Nice, but it looks like we have some overflow. So according to what we want, you put this as max width. Max width. So you see the overflow is gone. So you notice if I close this, I'm having this. But we can use our initiative instead of adding this. So I can remove this because it's not looking at the way it is on our Figma design. So I can just put 90%. So that will also do a good job. So I can even extend it more to 80. Nice, so that we can have a space for the background image. Okay, so that is it for that. We have that now. Then the next thing that I want to do now is the button. So let's target the button. So target the button. So it's still Montserrat is using, but it has a width and height. So let's copy that. So come to the button. So after we finish, just reset. Just use picture to like format the text. So we don't want to use all this position stuff. The gap of 0 means nothing, so we'll remove that. Then what else do we have there? We have this, so let's copy that, paste here. Then of course this is custom font, so do that. Put our sans serif. Then the color is also white. So I have the color white. So if we do that, let's see what we have. We have this. Okay, so according to this guy here, the background color looks transparent, so you're going to put the background color should be transparent. So if you put your cursor here, notice you have a border left and right of what, 2 pixels, then the color of white. So let's do that. So we are going to put background color should be transparent. Now you notice here that the Figma did not tell that the background color is transparent, but based on what you've learned in your CSS, you should know that that is what, transparent. Then we need to have our outline should be none. So let's have that. We'll have our border should be on set first, so that we can set our own. So if we do that, is like saying border what? None. Okay, so what do we need to do now? So we can put our border bottom border right should be 2 pixels solid white. So do the same thing for the border left. So if we do that, you're going to have something that looks like this. Nice. So the next thing now is the background image. So how do we add the background image? So of course we have our mixing, so we're not going to add it here. So let me format this quickly. Nice. So we'll add our background image here. So have our, so I need to call my art include so art include art import then dot and forward slash SCSS, then choose our art includes, which holds our image. So my image now will come like this. So art include image, of course the URL, so dot and forward slash dot and forward slash assets slash ITVX. So let's see what that looks like. So we have an error root style, so let's see. I need to end the semicolon here. What an image. So this is mission gone wrong. So the image seems to have some background effects. Before I added this, let's see if it's good arrangement. Wow, that was nice, but we can't see the background image, so that means it shows that this will not work. So let me try something else. So let's try to add it as a normal image. So img dots. No, this will not work. So let's call this, so say import from IT, sorry no, let's say IT from dot forward slash assets slash berries.svg. So let me have IT as that, and IT. So let's see how that shows. So let me save this too. So I have this. So this is a very nice solution for us. So what we are going to do now is to use position to center this, or we may choose not to use position. So what I'm going to do now is to cut all of this in a div. So I will avoid position. So div first, just a nameless div. Then this. So let's see how this will look like. So it still looks like this. So the next thing I want to do now is to flex this IT berries div, so that this div that is here with this one is box 1, this one looks like box 2. So let's do that. So I'll now come here and say so there are many ways to achieve a task. So include flex between. So if I do that, let's see if we have that. Okay, so we have that. So we need to now handle the image size, so that will go well with us. So I'll come down here, put img. So let's look at the width of the image from the Figma design. So the width is actually 388 pixel. So width should be 388 pixel. So let's see if that will have any effect on the design. So it does have. Then that means the paragraph, let's limit it to a width of 100%, so that to stretch a little. Nice. Okay, so that is it for that. Then of course we need a padding bottom here. So let's move back, p tag, click this up. So we have a margin top of 33 pixel. So let's add that margin bottom of the 3 pixels. So if you're adding from the button, it's margin top, adding from the P is margin bottom. So anyone you like. So the first one I saw I added. So you see how I added this now. Nice. So you can use position here to push this a little bit upward. So what is actually causing this is that padding top that we added. So what we can do is to, there's a small mathematics there. So this padding top here, we should only add it to the div. So we'll just put a div there, add that, so it will not affect the image now. So you see, small mathematics, and that is done. Okay, so that is how we do this. So talking about responsiveness, So how does this look in the responsive design, the mobile view? So it looks like this. This is an interesting design. So how do we do this? So first of all, let's see how it responds when we use the media attribute. So inspect. We can see from 870 pixel, then it should change and by the way, this other guy here is not responsive friendly. So what we can do is to wrap this button in a div first of all. So we can put this button in a div because it's inline by nature, unless we are going to use our display property and change it to block. So let's try that one first. So let's try that one first. So let's put display block. Still there's nothing there. So what we can do is, let's see if it's inside the p tag. It's not inside the p tag, so I think let's add a dummy div to it. Just say .btn. So let's see why that is so. So you see now, so that has solved the issue. So one thing that is remaining now is to solve the responsiveness. So let's start to do that. So at 8 this pixel, we want to do that. So let's go back to our mixing, our include. There's something that we need to add to our partial. Our include, yes. So here we want to add a dynamic one that we can actually so let's just call this any screen. So this any screen now, I will now decide the screen I want to pass. So I'll put URL, I'll put width, then I can put here width. Then I would like to use max width here because I'm going down, not up. So max width. So this is for any width, so max down. So let's do that. So for this, our IT bed is now, what we want to do now is from this width of 844, we want to change from flex direction in rows to what? To columns first of all. So let's do that. and see how it looks like. Okay, so let's do that. So at include any screen, so I put in quote, no, not in quote, I just put not in quote, just put 884 pixel. Then I'll put that the flex direction should be column. So let's see how that works first. Then let's look at that. So you see, from 884 the flex direction is column. So it looks like this. Then what we can now do is those padding and margin, we can actually remove them so that they will be 100%, then the width of this should be 100%. So we can do that. So we can say for this should be here, then for, so how do we do that? So for this now, let's just copy this, Ctrl C. Especially the margin, especially the padding left should be unset. So if we do that, let's see how it looks like. It's not entirely unset, so let's look at that. It should be 40, it should be 49, it should be 49 pixel. So the padding left should be 49 pixel, then the padding right should be 49 pixel. So if we do that, we'll arrive at something like this, which is nice. Okay, so the last thing now is to move this guy upward. Wow, so that is the only thing that remains for the responsiveness to be complete. So to do that, we can use position for that. Can use position for that. So let's give this entire position of relative. So position should be relative. So let's see what we can do in the next 10 minutes. Relative, then from at the max at include any screen of 884 pixel So let's look at this position. So what is the position of this? So from top here to here is 112 pixel. I mean 122 pixel. So say position should be absolute, then top should be 11122 pixels. So let's see if that will give us what we want. And it does, but only there is some glitch. So this would be nice for a careful approach. I think the background color would have done the job, but only that it was coming, I mean the background image was doing that, but only that it was coming with its own background color. So we don't know if that is as a result of using it as SVG also. So that would have been easier for us using background image instead of using this position. So we'll end here, but I believe we'll be able to see how we can use SASS to design a responsive friendly code. Then one last thing we can do here, we can change the order. So order should be 1. So sorry, let's revert. So instead of this, we can just change this from this. The order should be 1. So order of this should be 1, so that the logo will come up and the image will go down. Then let's change this other one, this div. So that means this similar thing that is here, we need to do it for this other one if it's to work. So Ctrl C. So the order should be 2. So let's see. So yes. So you see how it looks like now. Nice. So that is just one thing that we can do. But even though the actual design means that this one should be on top this one, but this is just to show you some of the basics. So by the time you do your algorithm, by the time you play around with it, the best approach will be shown, which is this. So I think this is where we are going to stop. So that is how we use our SASS. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how we work with Tailwind. So we might use another example so that the purpose of teaching you will not be obscured, but I think this one has really done justice to this. So thank you very much, and I believe with this you can start styling your component using SASS.